Welcome to the Suburban Dad channel. I'm Tim, and today we're celebrating International Whiskey Day. And what better way to celebrate than doing a blind tasting? I've got the basic line from Michter's that I am going to do a blind taste with. And my goal for this is to truly determine which of these bottles is my favorite and to see if I can pick out which one is which. I've had all these bottles. I feel like they have a pretty distinct flavor for each one. And so we'll see how good my taste buds really are. Let's go. My lovely wife helped me pour these samples randomly. I have no idea which one is in which glass. I have little pieces of paper to number them just so I keep them on track. And she's got a cheat sheet made up for me for the end after I've tasted them. We've got 4 bottles from Michter's. We've got the Michter's Sour Mash Whiskey. We've got Bourbon. We've got Unblended American Whiskey. And we've got the Single Barrel Rye. So again, these are all the basic lines from Michter's. The rye is probably the most common, then the bourbon, and then the unblended whiskey and the sour mash are about the same. Those are a little more uncommon for sure. They range in proof from around 83 proof up to 91.4 proof. And so I'll go ahead and dive in. I'm not going to do too much describing of each sip because I wanted to just kind of keep this straight and to the point today. So first glass on the nose. Okay, it's definitely got a fruity scent to it. Smelling, okay. All right, let's have a sip. Okay. This is going to be interesting because right off the bat, I'm pretty sure I know which one this is, but I'm not 100%. It's got some sweetness to it. It's definitely got like a medicinal tone to it. Herbal, medicinal. I've had bottles that are herbal or that are herbal in a pleasant way. This one, not so pleasant. I believe this is the rye. So glass number 1, I believe, is the rye. And when I had this glass by itself, I really was not a big fan. It is a single barrel, so I don't know if I just got a not so great bottle. I've seen a lot of people talk about how they do like it. So very strong ethanol flavor to it, kind of a medicinal herbal flavor. It's got a moderate finish to it. It does stick around for a little bit. It coats the tongue fairly well. So it's got a good texture to it. Okay, sample number 1 down. Let's try number 2. Okay, again, another fairly sweet, fruity nose on this one. Maybe a little fruitier, sweeter compared to the last one. If that makes sense. Yeah, more sweet. Okay, so let's have a sip. Okay, this one has a very light flavor to it. When a bourbon has a light flavor, typically it means it's a lower proof. So there's a difference between complexity versus light or thin flavor. This one still has some complexity to it, but it is a light, more of a gentle palate. Now, the more I drink of it, it has a little bit more of a spice at the end, just a little bit. Very much sweet, sweet on the palate for sure. And again, a decent finish. enough of a little bit of a burn to keep it interesting, but definitely on the mild side. So I think this one is the unblended American whiskey. I think sample number 2 is the American unblended whiskey. Okay, sample number 3. This one has more of a woody scent to it. Not nearly as sweet as the first two. Okay. Slight ethanol smell to it. Honestly, not an overwhelmingly attention-grabbing nose. Let's go ahead and taste it. See how that goes. I thought I'd be able to pick these out really easily, and when you're doing a blind taste, it's not so easy. This one, the palate follows through kind of like the nose. It's not as sweet. Still some sweetness, but not as sweet. Man, how would I describe that? It does have a woody taste to it, kind of like oakish taste. It's very smooth, I must say. It's smooth, but it's interesting enough. It's got a little bit of spice at the end, a little bit of burn. Enough, again, to keep it interesting, but not where I'd say, oh man, that's fantastic. It's a decent sip. I mean, I don't think it's the bourbon, so I think it's the sour mash. So yeah, it's got Michter's is fairly consistent. They've got variety, but they're fairly consistent with their texture. A nice smoothness to their whiskeys. A little bit of kick at the end, but nothing too crazy, and definitely nothing overpowering. Okay, 3 down, 1 to go. Let's see what we've got with glass number 4. Okay, so this is the most inviting nose that I've encountered so far. It's bright, a little bit sweet, almost honey-ish, sweet, and yet not overpoweringly so. Oh, wait, almost got fruit, like berries almost, or like white grape. More berries. I'm getting more berries, like raspberry, blackberry type scent. All right, let's taste it. Okay, so this is, oh. Man, just when you think you know your whiskeys, I'm actually impressed at how challenging this is to tell these apart. I thought I was on track, pretty confident about number 1. Not so confident about these two. Guys, I'm really thrown off by this right now. Okay, this is messing with my brain. See, this is why this is really fun to do a blind tasting, because I've had all these before. I know which one of these is my favorite going into this. I'll be very interested to see what my favorite is coming out of this. This one is the creamiest, smoothest, silkiest of the 4 so far. All of these pours are on the sweeter side, fruity, except number 3. 3 wasn't quite as sweet and fruity. It was more of an oaky, woody flavor. Yeah, I could see like berries of some sort, raspberries, maybe even strawberry. Very smooth, very nice mouth feel on this one. Very creamy, velvety. By process of elimination, I think this is the bourbon, in fact. And based on my experience before, whenever I would taste Michter's bourbon, I always thought, man, this is so buttery and smooth. All of these have been smooth, but this has been the smoothest. So I think I'm on track here. I think number 4 is the bourbon. Okay, so I am pleasantly surprised at how challenging this was to differentiate and determine which one I really think is which bottle. And I'm going to look at the results in a second. I would have to say my most favorite was number 4. Just the smoothest, creamiest, most pleasant. The least favorite was number 1. These middle two, they're almost tied. I would say that 3 was just slightly more pleasant to me than 2. And I think 2 was just a little thinner, a little weaker of a flavor, and that's kind of what held it back. 3 was a little smoother and wasn't quite as sweet. So basically reverse order here. My favorite, my number 2, 3, and least favorite at number 4. So number 4 is my winner for this one. Let's see the results. Okay, so, oh my gosh. Guys, this, like I said, this is messing with my brain big time. Number 1, my least favorite was the bourbon. Going into this, the bourbon was my absolute favorite. Whoa. Number 2, so I got that one wrong. I thought that was the rye. It's not. Number 2 was the unblended American whiskey. That, in real life, was also my 3rd favorite going into this. So I got that right, and that matches up with my preconceived notions. Number 3 was the rye. This one was the rye. Guys, that really surprises me. Wow. So, well, because when I tried the rye by itself originally, I was not a fan. I was not. I didn't like it. I thought it was kind of gross. This, yeah, I have no words. This is my 2nd favorite in this round versus going into it, this was my least favorite. That means number 4, I also got this one wrong. I only got 1 out of 4 right. Number 4 was the sour mash whiskey. Ha! Which in real life is my 2nd favorite. I don't know why I keep saying real life. This is real life, but before doing a blind tasting, that was my favorite. Wow, this was very eye-opening. It goes to show that, number 1, my taste buds aren't as differentiating as I would hope they would be. Number 2, what I think I like seems to power my brain more than what my taste buds determine. So, very interesting to note that the sour mash was my winner. So there you go. Before today, I would have told you, oh, the bourbon is the best, hands down, no problem. So, very, very interesting results. So there you have it, guys. Michter's basic line. Do with that information as you will. If you can, try your own blind tasting. See for yourself which one do you actually prefer versus what you think you prefer. Now, in my last video, I talked about which do you want to do, a Michter's tasting or an under $30 bourbon challenge. And it was not meant to be a bait and switch. I will absolutely do an under $30 bourbon challenge, but I want to do it right. I didn't want to half-ass it for you guys. So I want to get all the bottles together that I need to make it worth your while. So hang in there, be patient. I promise it'll be worth the wait. Thanks for tuning in today. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please like it. And even more so, if you like what I'm doing here, subscribe to the channel and share it with your buddies. Till next time, cheers.